The U.S. is set to deliver a report to the Pentagon that's going to detail whether or not we've been visited by aliens. Now, obviously we have, right? We can get that out of the way, but they're telling us that we have not. The Pentagon report is not scheduled to come out until the end of June, June 25th to be official. It's supposed to be a government comprehensive report from all of the different agencies that are being coordinated through the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, talking to the Army and everybody, the Navy. We've been seeing a lot of these things floating around our skies. Where are they coming from? Who's responsible for them? So this report is supposed to be drafted. It's coming out here in a couple weeks, but the New York Times got a hint. They got a peek inside. They're going to tell us a little bit more about what's going on. So they tell us that the U.S. finds no evidence of aliens, or of alien technology, rather, in the flying objects, but they can't rule it out either. Oh, okay. So, all right. So this reminds me of the coronavirus conversation that we're having about lab escape or natural origin. If you say it's not the lab escape, well, you got to show us some evidence that it is a natural origin, don't you? You can't just say it's not that and then not show us an alternative, but that's exactly what the government is doing here. They're saying, oh, there's no evidence of alien technologies. Okay, well then what is there evidence of? Well, we can't tell you that, but we can't rule out the aliens either. All right, so sounds kind of like a useless report. Was anybody expecting anything differently? From Washington, American intelligence officials have found no evidence that the aerial phenomena witnessed by Navy pilots in recent years are alien spacecraft. But they still cannot explain the unusual movements that have mystified scientists in the military. We have a highly anticipated report coming out, and they are already speaking to senior administration officials that have been briefed on the findings. So it's coming out. We're going to go through it once it's released. Should be unclassified, so we should get the entirety of the document, but we'll see. Report determines that a vast majority of more than 120 incidents over the past 2 decades did not originate from any American military or other advanced U.S. government technology, the officials said. So does anybody believe that government's going to come out? It's not us. It's not the aliens, but it's not us. Do you believe that? I don't. That determination would appear to eliminate the possibility that the Navy pilots who reported seeing unexplained aircraft might have encountered secret programs the government meant to keep secret. But that is about the only conclusive finding in the garbage dumpster classified intelligence report, says the officials. And while a forthcoming unclassified version that's expected to be released by the 25th will present few other firm conclusions, senior officials briefed on the report conceded that the very ambiguity of the findings meant the government could not definitively rule out the theories that the phenomena observed by military pilots might be alien spacecraft. So they could not definitively rule out the theories. America's long-running fascination with UFOs has intensified. Barack Obama went on The Late Show and talked about it. He said, what is true, I'm actually being serious here, is that there is footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We played that clip here. The report concedes that much about the observed phenomena remains difficult to explain, including their acceleration, as well as the ability to change directions and submerge. One possible explanation, weather balloons or other research balloons, does not hold up in all cases because of the changes in wind speed at the times, some of the interactions. They're not weather balloons, folks. You saw those. Those are not weather balloons. Floating around. We're just going to float from the sky and then go into the ocean. We're going to transmute between different mediums. Not a weather balloon I've seen, at least. Let's just leave it at that. All right. So we know that the report is coming out. We know it's not going to release anything. We know that the government's not going to tell us anything about anything, because why would they? And is it going to stop there? Well, probably. But Marco Rubio says that they're going to continue to investigate it. So this comes over from The Sun. Space oddities UFO, according to Rubio, says, quote, must seriously be investigated. He said the Pentagon report is just the first step. So UFOs need to be seriously investigated. On Thursday, he spoke to The Sun that they're going to be investigating the mysterious flying objects dubbed the unexplained aerial phenomenon. So the UAPs. Men and women we have entrusted with the defense of our country are reporting encounters with unidentified aircraft with superior capabilities, said Rubio. We cannot allow the stigma of UFOs to keep us from seriously investigating this. The forthcoming report is just one step in that process, but it will not be the last. So this article says that they're going to release the report on June 29th within the 180-day deadline, which was laid out in the legislation from January 1. The memo is being prepared by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and the UAP Task Force, established last September to probe the military encounters with the UAPs. His comments came after the Navy released classified footage of a very strange object in 2004 and 2014. 10 years apart. Yeah, and so if you're not familiar with the ODNI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, as I mentioned, this is kind of the hub and spoke model, the hub and wheel model. So the ODNI, the Director of the National Intelligence, communicates. He's kind of the clearinghouse, or she now is kind of the clearinghouse for all of the different agencies that are in our intelligence community. So it's sort of asking everybody, hey, CIA, what do you have? Hey, FBI, what do you got? Hey, ATF, hey, Navy, Army, all of you, what information do you have about the UFOs? And they're all going to say, nothing, no idea. Here's your report, so that they can type it up into this big thing and just give us a bunch of nothing. The protection of the methodologies is an important part of how the UAP task force operates. So they're saying it's not going to satisfy UFO aficionados. They're saying this is an intelligence-driven effort. Reports are going to deal with data collected by highly sensitive sensors and the U.S. Army that they use in a data-driven approach. All right, so the warning comes after the Navy reported orb-shaped footages flying off in San Diego in 2019. Florida politician told 60 Minutes they're going to be investigating this. I want to take it seriously. He's on the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee. He's asked the Director of National Intelligence to figure this out. We got footage from the USS Omaha, July 2019. We talked a lot about Jeremy Corbell and others. There was also an encounter on the USS Nimitz. We talked about that one. We have Steve Bassett. He's the executive director of the Paradigm Research Group. He thinks that the U.S. intelligence is preparing to end a so-called 74-year truth embargo. Wouldn't that be fun? Do you think that's going to happen? The count apparently started back in 1947 when the Roswell Army Airfield in New Mexico distributed a press release claiming they recovered the remains of a flying disc that had crashed in the desert. The next day, the U.S. Army backtracked, claiming the recovered object was just a weather balloon. I knew I heard about that weather balloon somewhere. They always say that. Is it actually that? Well, we're going to find out on June 25th or June 29th, whenever they release this report. Now, at the start of the show, I told you that we spent some time here talking about Area 51. I would love to go there and see what happened there. I mean, Will Smith got to go there, and Jeff Goldblum got to go there, and they saved the whole planet. Maybe one day I'll be afforded that same opportunity. One can only hope. But if I don't get to go to Area 51, maybe I'll go to the Navy's Area 51. It's called something else, and I had no idea this thing even existed. But apparently it does. And apparently China is sort of poking their fingers around in this space, which is causing some concern, of course, for our U.S. Navy. I want to show you this article here from AND. It's a website called andmagazine.com, and it is the expert analysis and commentary article. It says, breaking the silence, Chinese spies zero in on U.S. Navy's Area 51. So the U.S. Navy apparently has something very similar to Area 51 out in the depths of Nevada. So let's figure out what's happening here. China is aggressively pursuing its expansionist agenda across the globe. That includes right off our shores in the Bahamas, where China has been involved in a port building and efforts to secure commercial fishing rights for a number of years. May not sound like a national security threat, but it is. As tensions ramp up between the U.S. and China, we focus more and more on the possibility of direct military confrontation. The balance of power between the U.S. and Chinese navies becomes ever more significant. Of particular importance is the ability of American submarines to operate in the Pacific in relative proximity to communist China and deny the Chinese Navy the ability to gain access to the open ocean and pass beyond what is known as the first island chain, which includes Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines. And this is something, when I was in college, I took a class. It was called International Security in the Asian Pacific Theater, I think it was the name of the class. And it was one of the best classes I ever took, ever, in my whole life. I forget the name of the professor. He wrote like 1 million books. The class was packed, and it was just outstanding. And he was taking us through all of the power conversations that are taking place on a global scale. And a lot of it had to do with China and Taiwan and Japan and the Koreas. And it's a fascinating area to study. And what we're sort of talking about here in this context is power projection. And we talk about the strength of navies and about how sort of powerful the waters are, why it's so critical to control them so that you can keep your supply chains open. And there's a great guy, his name is Peter Zeihan. He talks a lot about this in his book called The Absent Superpower. And he wrote another one that I didn't read, but I watched a lot about it on YouTube, where he talks about sort of the global order. I think it's called Bretton Woods. There was some sort of meeting that took place between a lot of world leaders and American leaders where they created this new sort of world order, really, where the United States would essentially become the global hegemonic power by promising security guarantees on the seas. So in other words, as long as you were under the umbrella of the U.S. Navy, as long as we sort of could send our ships and have a big enough force that had power projection on a global scale, then you could be under our umbrella. You're part of our team. But you allow us then to sort of patrol the seas and make sure that we can guarantee global security on the ocean around the world. And so that has been something that has sort of been in place, right? And the United States, according to Peter Zeihan in his books, has been sort of ensuring this global protective order by maintaining security of the seas. And we did that for good reason, because we needed to make sure that our trade routes were good. It was mostly out of self-interest. We needed the oil. We needed a lot of the resources that were being shipped all around the world. And so we had a strong interest in contributing to the global security of the world. And he's sort of saying that might be changing, that maybe America doesn't have as strong of an interest in that regard anymore. And he was saying that Donald Trump might have been accelerating this process, because the question now becomes, well, do we really need to do that anymore? What is America getting out of this global order by ensuring that we are, I guess, being the policemen of the seas? What do we get out of that? Historically, 20 years ago, when the United States domestic production of oil was lower, we needed ships to bring the oil over from the rest of the world into our country. But now that we've got a lot of the shale activities here in, domestically, do we need that oil anymore? Do we, in other words, can our domestic production make up from some of the gaps that would be evident if we remove ourselves from the world order and stop promising protection of the seas? Long, convoluted explanation there from yours truly. Very good, better explanations from some of these other individuals that I mentioned, like Peter Zeihan and others who talk about this. But this is a very, very critical component of international security and international relations. It's sort of who controls the seas. And if one superpower like the United States is going to give up a portion of that, well, then some of those trade routes and the navigation that is necessary in order to maintain all of these alliances might be shattered a little bit. And they might be saying, well, the United States, they sort of made sure that nobody else interfered with us. They're not doing that anymore. Maybe that shifts some of the old world order of alliances here on the world scale. So we'll see. Now, what they're talking about here is some of that. The Chinese, in other words, are moving forward, moving close to the United States, seizing control over part of the shores of the Bahamas, building ports, securing commercial fishing rights, and sort of encroaching upon that sacred space, which is the geography of the oceans, which is extremely powerful to international security. So this article continues. It says, American submarines in such a conflict would not win by numbers. They would win by superior design and capability, and in particular, by their ability to remain undetected. That very ability may be one of the reasons the Chinese are so focused on the Bahamas. And if they are able to establish a permanent presence of their, quote, fishing fleet there, that ability may be threatened. Okay, and so take a look at what he posted here. There's a mysterious Chinese ship engaged in strange activities in the Moroccan waters. The vessel is equipped with 2 powerful engines and generators more suitable for spy or research vessel rather than an ordinary fishing vessel. All right, so see what this looks like, a fishing vessel, doesn't it? We've got all of these sort of attachments on the sides. Doesn't look like a military boat. It looks just like a regular, vessel that just kind of goes out there and fishes. But it's maybe something more than it seems. Chinese fishing fleets, quote, do not operate as normal commercial operations. They function as part of what is known as the maritime militia. Ships are armed and routinely used to project Chinese power and force the ships of other nations out of particular areas. More to the point for this discussion, they also provide cover for intelligence collection operations. Some of these, quote, fishing boats, they're just spy ships. That's all they are. And it seems like they are hovering around a very important area that we see right here. China in the Bahamas, according to @CCP Watch over on Twitter, give them a follow, building a road runway the entire length of the island. So we can see that down here. The size of the equipment is not related to the stated plans of the Chinese owner, who say he wants a few small resort cabins and property for rent. Need to monitor this. All right, so we got the Bahamas down here. We have this island Nassau, which looks like we see maybe a strip here, or maybe Bird Cay. I'm not sure what island they're talking about, but we sort of see some roads or some areas where they're creating some landing strips, or who knows what's going on there, but enough to cause some concern. Now, the Atlantic Undersea, let's learn about this. The Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center is known as AUTEC, located on the Bahamian island of Andros, in the intermediate proximity to what is known as the tongue of the ocean, or the Toto. We're learning a lot today. The long, deep trench with a flat bottom provides a perfect area to test sonar and communication technologies in an area free from outside noise. It's been there for 56 years. Did you have any idea? I didn't. This is where the U.S. Navy conducts much of the work that guarantees its submarines remain undetectable and that we maintain maritime supremacy. Okay, it's a very important testing ground for our subs. The Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center's detachment on Andros Island's main job is managing what amounts to giant underwater test ranges so the Navy can measure the acoustic signatures of the submarines and validate those signatures before deployments. In the game of cat and mouse, that is the modern submarine operations. If you can be heard, you can be killed. So they have this little area in the ocean. Sounds like it's sort of like a soundproofed ocean floor where there's this big, long, deep trench called the Toto, the tongue of the ocean. Ugh. Right? Just dragging its gross. But they go down there and they test submarines so that they can measure how loud they are. We have this almost naturally acoustic barrier. We can ship a submarine through there. Listen, too loud. Don't send that over to the Chinese waters. They're going to hear you. Send it back. Do it again, Lou. Lou does it again. Oh, there you go. Now you're quiet. Okay? Keep your voice down when you're in there. Chinese are listening. All right. So the article continues. Chinese commercial fishing fleets operate in large groups. Hundreds of vessels at a time swarm an area, often literally stripping it clean of sea life. With such a horde of vessels operating out of the Bahamas on a regular commercial basis, it would be child's play to deploy a handful of vessels with the kind of sensors and communications gear required to collect critical intelligence on American submarines as they go through their places at the AUTEC in preparation for deployment around the globe. The information gathered from such intelligence could quite literally change the balance of power on the globe and provide a decisive advantage to the Chinese Navy in any future engagement with the U.S. For that reason, quite obviously, we ought to be intervening aggressively to prevent any further Chinese encroachment into the Bahamas. Existing port facilities should be shut down. Discussions about future projects and anything that justifies the Chinese deployment of its thinly disguised spy ships should be turned off. Whatever combination of pressure and inducement required to make that happen with the government of the Bahamas should be employed. It won't be. He says this administration is owned by the CCP. From top to bottom, it dances to Xi's tune. We will all pay the price, and in this case, the very first to face these consequences may be the men and women of America's silent service. Yikes, right? That's scary stuff. Sorry for unveiling that to you, but the Chinese are in the Bahamas now, and they've got some very important spy ships, and it sounds like they're going to basically figure out what we're doing at Navy Area 51. Let's take some questions here. Norovirus in the house says, what most people don't realize about the government and USO release is that they are doing it on purpose on a certain timeline, and if it's truly evil people releasing the info, then they will put a spin on it that will be beneficial for them on many levels, not just financial. What I'm trying to say is that there is a lot more to this story. Next step is their plan is to tell us the aliens are real and they are dangerous to us. Just wait and see. That is not the truth. Norovirus says the aliens are here or they're coming. I'm going to go hang out with them. Okay, I don't care what the government says. If they say they're dangerous, whatever. There's a lot of dangerous things in this world. I'm gonna go see how they are. We're gonna hang out. Hack Consulting says, why is America protecting the seas? So that we can get cheap ass products from China. If you defund the global police, imagine the pirating that will spawn from nowhere. People need to shut the hell up and recognize that the minimal protection we provide overseas helps make life better for us immediately, not some convoluted, indirect path. It's a good perspective on that. Yeah, I mean, there's a good reason the U.S. does what it does, and it's a good reason we've been doing it for a long time. So there's, I think, a pretty evident attempt from China to undo some of that progress so that they can seize control of more of the oceans and play a bigger role on the global scale. All right, we've got Jeremy Matrita says, looks like the Chinese boat's cover has been blown. That's right, we did it right here. So if you see any of those fishing ships from China, Don't buy it for a second, folks. They're trying to hack our submarines. We have underscore shades is in the house. Says, interesting. Since the Dutch East India Co. have been dominate over the seas for several hundred years and still is to this day, maritime history for thousands of years, which still have the same family bloodlines gaming them. Sounds more like families battling over the world. Well, there's a lot of people who say that, right? That you go back to, you know, the Rothschilds and the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers and the all of those people, right? That they're all part of this big banking scheme and they rule the world. Sounds as good as anything else. We have Jeremy Matrita, last one in the house, says, I would guess any, quote, intelligence the Chinese gain is what the U.S. wants them to believe to be intel. I would hope so. You know, I would hope maybe down there at the Navy Area 51, they're sort of, maybe they're sending them Rick Astley songs. Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. Never going to run around. Right? Maybe they're sending that to the Chinese. That's what I would do, is just play that around the clock. See what they have to say about that. We have Nadar Blasier says, Ghislaine Maxwell was also into submarines and has some sort of foundation or company in the submarine tech field. Rumor has it that they use the subs to bring in discreet shipments. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? I had never heard that, but that's wild. Oh my gosh. What if Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are the aliens? Oh, no. Look, I don't mean to make fun of it. Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, these people, it's just kind of bizarre when you start talking about these stories and they all just interlink with each other. Isn't it weird? All right. Norovirus says, just to clarify, please don't go hang out with them. She says, Norovirus says, just to clarify. Thank you for clarifying. All right. Gosh, that could have been bad. Please don't go hang out with them without proper research. The ones that harm people could take you up on that invitation. Maybe that's too far out there for this show, but don't go up into the ship. All right. I mean, I was going to. You heard me here. Noro, you just saved my life. I was going to do it. I'd be like, yeah, all right, beam me up. Let's see what's going on up there. I'm ready. Let's go do this thing. Because, you know, folks, that could be my big debut. You know, I could be like Will Smith and launch that nuke in the mothership. Sometimes you just got to take that opportunity, you know. I want to leave a mark on the world. It's one way to do it. But Norovira saved my life. Thank you, Nora. I will not go up into the spaceship. Probably won't. We'll see. Thank you for the warning, though. All right, great questions. All of those came over from You Know Who You Are, Speech Unleashed, underscore Shades, Nadarb's in the house, Sharon's here, Edon Test, Hack Consulting, the Dr. Renal MD's here, and Norovira, all over coming from Watching the Watchers. .locals.com, and it's a great place to be. There's a lot of good stuff you can get over there. Things like a free copy of my book. It's called Beginning to Winning. You can download the PDF for free right here. You can download a copy of all the slides that we just went through today. You can download a copy of my impeachment party documents or my personal productivity device called the Existence Systems Template. You can download this template for free, adjust it to your own liking, and hopefully use it. There are links and stuff that we share throughout the day. There are great people that are there as well. And we have a monthly meetup coming up on June 26th. We did one in May. It was a lot of fun. You can register at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. The link is not up there, but if you're a member, you're going to get the link when I post it. The next event is coming up June 12th at 12 to 2 p.m., which is going to be Eastern time. So that's going to be 9 a.m. my time. We're going to talk for about 90 minutes or so. Should be somewhat interactive. It depends on kind of the size of the group, but should be fun. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be my first attempt at this sort of virtual conversation. So we're going to sort of work our way through it, but it should be a lot of fun. Very interesting stuff. How to deal with the police, all for free if you are a member over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And we really do appreciate your support. As you know, YouTube has really kind of not been happy with us on this channel for some reason. I don't know what we did, but we're not monetized here. And so by supporting us on the different platforms, you really keep the energy up and keep us going. And I think it's a good move long term. Every time that we are able to kind of vote with our dollars and vote with our time and vote with our eyeballs and vote with our clicks on different platforms, that's a great thing. That's one step. That's one brick in the new facade, in the new building that we're building elsewhere. And so I just appreciate everybody who is a part of that migration. It really does mean the world. I also have some other channels down below, and we're sort of diversifying a little bit here because of some of the YouTube kerfuffle, but there's a crypto channel down below I'm having a lot of fun with. Yesterday, I made a video about Elon Musk posted a tweet at like 7:07 Arizona time. And if you look at the markets, he posted a breakup heart, so the breakup emoji, and Bitcoin breakup. Then he posted this meme, and the markets took a dump, all of them, like immediately. 107, 108, crash, and they all just went down. And it was a wild thing to see, but I made this video where I show you the simultaneous drop off across 8 markets. So across Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, ICP, Dogecoin, all of them, right? They're all in there. Doge is not in there, but the other ones are. Anyways, if you want to watch it, fascinating stuff's going on there. It is linked down below. I also have another video where I do a deep dive, or another channel where I have a deep dive on the Wuhan lab stuff. So go check out those other channels if you're interested in it. If you're interested in Arizona law, we're putting out a lot more Arizona only content. So there's another channel for that as well. Just want to keep you apprised of that. Of course, if you're only interested in this show, definitely make sure you're subscribed here, because this is not going anywhere. We're going to continue to do this. We're having a lot of fun, and we appreciate all your love and support here. Before we get out of here, one final reminder that I am a criminal defense attorney. We're in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm at the R&R Law Group. All of the contact information and links are in the description below as well. And we love to help good people who are facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and in their lives. And I mean that. I mean, we have a whole team of people here that are just passionate as hell about helping people get things back on track. And when I say good people facing criminal charges, I mean that. You know, a lot of people think that just because you're charged with a crime that you're some sort of, derelict of society. That's not the case. There are many, many good people that sometimes just get caught up in bad situations, and we want to help them through that and make sure that the justice system doesn't wreck them on the way through the process. So if you happen to know anybody in the state of Arizona who is facing a criminal charge, it can be anything minor, things like DUIs, misdemeanors, domestic violence offenses, or things, major offenses like aggravated assault or sex crimes. We handle all of those and everything in between, including traffic cases. We can clear up old cases, old warrants, restore your right, get your civil rights back so you can vote again and possess a firearm, potentially based on your background and some of what the future prospects look like. So there's just a lot of work that we can do. And I want to make sure that people know that there are things that can be done when you are facing a situation like this, and we would love the opportunity to help. So if you happen to know anybody in the state of Arizona who is facing a criminal charge, we would be honored and humbled if you sent them our direction. We offer free case evaluations, and once again, all of the contact information is linked down below. We would really appreciate it. It means the world, and it helps us keep our mission moving forward. We love to help people, and we appreciate you helping us do that. So that is it from me, my friends. We're going to be back here same time, same place, on Monday. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Arizona time, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And for that one Florida man, everybody, thanks so much for sticking with us this week. Have a tremendously long weekend. Get some nice food, get some nice rest, and definitely unplug from politics, because we're going to be ready to rock and roll right back in it on Monday, and I'll see you there. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.